Sarah found was a
Ooh.
calling card for the Whisperers,
Okay.
who
Yeah.
pose a threat to Alexandria later in the comics. PPP in music notation translates roughly to whispers. As far as I know, though, I'm not an expert by any means. So, yeah, I didn't do too much research, but I have heard about this in other shows. Some articles were talking about it, how it roughly translates to whispers. It's usually a quieter note.
Okay.
Is what these look
Interesting.
like. I mean, I don't understand the relevance of having it on a card, on a key card.
Me neither.
Um,
That's just probably another flaw.
just a little hint, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's not jarring. It doesn't take me out of it. But I mean, I have to assume the Whispers are going to make it in.
Is that they're a group of they would play as an antagonist in the show?
Yes.
Okay, because I don't know. I'm not familiar with them in the comics. So
Yeah. They're the next. After this whole Negan storyline wraps up, they got to move on, and this is like the next.
Wait,
big
has
thing.
the show reached to the point where the comic has though? Has it?
What do you mean?
In terms of like are they almost linear in terms of like where they're
No.
or is the comic way ahead still?
No, the Negan stuff happened probably 5 years ago.
Really?
In the comics,
But they had an
yeah.
Negan they just released a Negan origin story not too long ago anyway.
Yeah, to sync up with the.
Oh, okay, all right.
But I mean, up until maybe 2 years ago, they were still releasing Governor stories.
Oh, okay. Oh, really?
Yeah. Like the Governor has maybe 3 books about him.
Okay, but on his own though.
Well, as part of like
As part of an origin story, or as part of like, or as
Yeah,
part of the
as-
narrative,
as
the
part
main
of-
narrative.
Well, I mean, the book about I don't know, is it by Jay Bonsinga or whatever?
I don't know.
It's,
I don't know. Don't
okay,
look at me.
well,
don't look at me for.
if he's the same guy writing the stuff for Negan as he was for this other guy,
Okay.
they're like companion pieces to the comic. You don't
I
have to
see.
read
I
them,
see. I
but
see.
they're
I
just
see. Yeah. Okay.
they're just background information.
Anything relevant to the show, actually?
I don't know. I only read the first book.
Okay.
I did not like it.
Interesting.
Exactly.
Okay,
but
so-
but the Whispers are pretty neat.
Are they?
It's a different. I'm not without spoiling anything. It's just a different take on how you can survive in a zombie infested world.
I did want to say something about in terms of like what we've seen thus far for let's say for certain villains for The Walking Dead so far, and I know I'm counteracting this article which I forgot to take down, which is okay, it's fine because people
If
people
you say so.
yeah just because like some articles are defending the fact that Negan's one of the best villains of all time, and I said this on our very first, our premiere of this podcast, saying that Negan may potentially go down as one of the best villains of all time. I am not seeing that right now. Maybe that could be redeemable next year,
Yeah.
or in a couple of hours. I'm king for next year, but just to say,
Once again, it's not going to make sense to people who listen to this.
That's true.
Not at the exact same time we're recording.
no, it's true,
which
but
is everybody.
that's true. But just to say, however, as a certain theme. Certain villains that have become, like, say, we go for the Governor, we go for Negan, and then we go for also some other major villains actually. Even for Terminus, these characters, because the character, I know Terminus is a little hard to describe because they're a group of people, but these are people that basically they have lost everything, have nothing else to live for, and so they decide, like for example, Rick has had Judith, has had his wife Lori, has his son, and it almost feels like Rick is defending the American dream
Okay.
in a certain way. So like going the direction that he did to survive is the way you want to look at it. It makes him look like the hero, makes him look like why he is the protagonist as he is. The way to survive this post-apocalypse is to go towards Rick's direction, even if he deviates from it once in a while.
Yeah. Well, the more he loses, the more he deviates.
Exactly.
He lost Lori. He kinda-
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So when you look at someone like Negan, who basically has nothing he doesn't have an immediate, he has no immediate family, nothing to live for from before the world became what it was. The reason he became the tyrant that he is because he has nothing else to live for. So he decides to basically, he becomes the overzealous leader that he is, and it goes the same for what happened with the Governor. He lost everything and pretty much puts everything on the line to make his leadership as strong as it is. And it goes the same with Terminus. They said they were a group of people who were basically betrayed by another group, and they decided to resort to cannibalism. So I feel like that's a bit of a reoccurring theme with the Walking Dead's villains. Not every single villain, but a lot of them.
What about the Claimers?
That's the one with I claim that, right? The
Yeah.
whole that's a biker gang.
They were the
That's
same.
all it is.
They were the same before the apocalypse.
You're right. Yeah, I think so. I mean, but for argumentative sake, you have no. If you're on a biker gang, you do have a home to go to. Now you don't have a home to go to anywhere. So you still have the argument. My argument still stands.
If you're a true biker, the road is your home.
That's true, but like you still don't have a home base. I don't know. You don't have a wife and kids still that you abandoned. I don't know what. You don't have that
to hold you back.
Not to hold you back, but now the apocalypse happened. You don't even have that. Yeah. That's still a void. So that could still arguably tie into my opinion, my theory.
All right,
sort of, but yeah. So we get around to the trailer, and from what we see so far,
we're talking about the trailer.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's it for the recap.
Recap.
Sorry, that's it. I know you're used to the recap. These things are programmed into me. That's it for the
muscle memory,
and I think that's it for the articles and any information you have. We could talk briefly about the trailer now, if you'd like.
The only thing I really like is I just see Daryl going to town on this one person just with these punches from both hands. And I'm like, okay, that's the only thing I want to see for next season. Yeah. I mean,
it's pretty straightforward. You know they're going to war.
Yeah. Well, I hope they don't disappoint. But it will take, let's say, we said 4 weeks of basically, secondary storylines. Maybe it'll take 5 weeks for this one till they finally get to the last episode. I don't know. I mean, it could go that way anyway. So we'll see. Yeah. But what do you have hopes for?
I really hope we find out how Oceanside made some of those sweet seashell necklaces. Maybe a whole episode on that. Just them combing the beach.
It could go that way.
Drying out the shells.
Maybe.
The dental floss they might use to string them up. Who gets one?
I'm not going to contribute to this, but
who doesn't?
I think
how much they cost and what you use for currency.
Yeah, well, they've never addressed that so far for the past 7 years. So I think Sherry. I hope Sherry does make a. I feel like if her character does emerge properly, I'm looking forward to see what goes on with hers.
Yeah.
I would like to see what happens with Dwight as well, even though I don't like him because I feel like he has redeemable qualities, but I felt like his pizzazz. No, that's not the right word.
Pizzazz.
No, that's not it. No, but his mojo is not because after The Cell, people saw Dwight in a positive aspect. And I just don't see that anymore because probably even in the fact that we could blame when the episode was aired, probably anyway. But yeah,
I'm excited to see Judith blossom into a bright young woman.
I thought you were going to take this seriously.
Bright young woman, probably by episode 11, I think.
Of this season?
Of this season, she'll probably.
You're saying continuing from 8? Okay.
She ages so quickly.
She does. She's
already walking.
She'll have something like Maggie. She'll have a pacifier and still have the skill to shoot Mr. Burns. Only the equivalents to like shooting Negan or something.
These are horrendous spoilers for.
No, they're not.
Season 5 of The Simpsons.
These are speculation. But I mean, if Judith looks anything like Maggie, that would make the show 10 times better.
Nobody looks like Maggie.
Well, you could have it. Just give her a pacifier.
Got spiky yellow head.
That takes hair gel.
All right, baby hair gel. You'll make millions. Is that going to do it for today?
I think it will.
All right.
I think we've exhausted all discussions.
Yeah. So we didn't make it to you by Christmas. We recorded this before New Year's. You'll only hear it after New Year's. Probably. So
that's just the decision we make.
Yeah. So there you go. We'll be back in February when the new trailer is released. I'm sure there'll be a new trailer.
There will be, and it's not going to show.
That. No.
I'm sure it won't show more than what we saw already.
It'll show something, maybe a little more Tiger.
Oh boy,
maybe. But until then, I'm Matt,
and I'm David. Happy New Year.